Hola, how is everybody? I hope you're well. And today I'm going to show you a couple of stretches and tricks and exercises that you can do if you work from a desk, and they are going to benefit you. They're going to help you relieve the discomfort from the kyphotic posture, which is this one. Okay, so I'm Anna from Ana Guerrero's Holistic Wellbeing, and let's get started. Okay, so stretches that you can do from your desk without even having to move. We are going to target muscles such as the trapezius, the upper, mid part, and lower part of the trapezius muscle. We're also going to target the levator of the scapular bone. This muscle comes from the underneath the skull, from the occiput area, and it has the insertion on the upper medial corner of the scapular bone. And this is the point that so many people complain about, that little bitch in here, he's always tender. And we're also going to focus on the front muscles, such as the front scalene muscles of the neck, the sternocleidomastoid, and the pectorals. And we are also going to mention a little bit on the hip flexors. Right, so what's hyperkyphosis? So kyphosis is a natural curve that we have on the upper back. There has to be some curve there, but some people have it quite prominent. And this is either because they sit on a desk all day, or because they're looking at the phone all the time, or because they read a lot as well, it could be that. And let's see that we have two major facial lines. Facial I mean fascia lines, okay? So we have the back line and the front line. And what happens with the hyperkyphosis is that the back line is overstretched and the front line is shortened. And this is why we get rolled shoulders, shorter neck muscles, and shortened pectorals. So what we want to do here is to balance this out as far as we can. Right. So there was something I wanted to say and I can't remember now. Yes, so you may wonder, why do we need to stretch the back line if it's already overstretched? Okay, so it seems contradictory to say that we're going to stretch an overstretched area, but what's happening here, and the reason why you feel pain and tension and discomfort on the back line, is because not only the muscles and the tissues and the fascia are overstretched, but they're also, and because of that, they're having to tighten up so that they don't get even farther stretched out. And this is why they are so tense and painful, because they are having to hold the tension so that we don't go like bleh, Okay, so that's what's happening. Okay, so let's start with chin to chest, and to do that, so we're going to stretch the back of the neck, the upper traps, mid traps, and lower portion of the traps. And it's also going to tackle the levator of the scapula, that little one that we mentioned earlier. So for this, we are going to interlock the fingers and place the hands on the crown area, and gently we're going to pull down. Okay, down we go. Now then, some people say you should hold the stretch for about 30 seconds or so, but really everybody is so different and everybody holds a different load of tension. So what you should be doing is to listen to your body. So when you initially start stretching, you feel the pulling forces and you can really feel the stretch, and then eventually after, once you hold this stretch and breathe through it and try and relax everything else that you're not having to use, eventually the tissues will ease off and they will give in to the stretch. And when you feel this kind of release, is when the stretch has been achieved. Okay, so not before, not after. It's not 30 seconds. It's listen to your body. Okay, so right. So we've done chin to chest. Now we're going to do chin to kind of armpit, and with the hand of the same side, we're going to get hold of the head, same area, and we're going to pull down in this angle. This targets the levator of the scapula as well as some of the fibers of the trapezius and the rhomboids, of course. So down we go. And really, I look down and I'm just kind of angling to my hip. So this is the position of my head. So you would hold the stretch until you feel that these muscles are giving in, okay? And then you'll go on to the other side. And when you do this, I don't want to see any funny business such as, okay? So you lower the elbow and relax all of this area. Okay, and then as we said, you do the other side. And here you can change angles as well to target different fibers of different muscles. And always going back to the neutral position, you're taking a breath in, okay? So going down, you exhale. Breathe a few times through it and then coming back, inhale. Okay, so chin to chest, chin to armpit or hip, and then the other side. And then we're going to do ear to shoulder. So you get hold of the side of the head and pull down. You always pull gently and slowly. This feels so good. Coming back to neutral and other side. I definitely have more mobility on this side, like my head can go farther down that way. And here it feels tight. Another thing is that when you do this, sometimes you may feel discomfort here. And this is when you are stretching, you want to feel the stretch on the area that you are stretching and extending. If you're feeling so like a pain or discomfort here, then you are compressing, okay? There is something a little bit out of whack, not wax. So if that's the case, then try and come back. Change a little bit of angle, see if that settles, and down you go. Okay, lovely. And now we're going to target the front line. So the sternocleidomastoid has the insertion on the just around the clavicular bone, and the frontal scalene muscles, they insert on the first and second rib. So you can feel the spaces, and if you palpate, there will be a tender point. That tender point is that insertion of the muscle. So you get hold of the insertion points to increment or to make the stretch more powerful. So I'm going to put my hands underneath the collarbone. There we go. Anchoring the insertion points, and then you look up to the ceiling. Now, careful when you come back from this one, okay, very slowly, making sure that you are aware of every movement of your cervical spine from the bottom up, okay, as you come up. And again, if you are doing this one and you find a restriction or some kind of discomfort on the back of the neck, then you may be compressing the vertebrae, okay? So be careful with that. If you can't go all the way down, then just make sure that you lift the chin at least, okay? And then from there, you want to do one side and then the other side. And back to neutral. Okay, now we're going to do some shoulder shrugs, I think. Shoulder shrugs. I don't know, that's a difficult one for me. So you want to bring the shoulders up to the ears and as high as you can and hold it there, okay? Hold the tension there, take a deep breath in. Hold it. And exhale and release. So nice. Now then, you do this a few times. You will feel how this one instantly gets your shoulders back down as opposed to being like this, you know, like we're always a bit, especially walking down the street when it's cold and you don't want the wind in your neck and you go like this all the time, you know. So it's just a nice thing to tense up and then release. And it makes the shoulders sit back down to where they should be. Very simple, very effective. And of course, you can do the movement from side to side and then roll the neck. Now, some people suggest doing the full 360, but I can't remember if it was the atlas or the axis, the vertebrae, the first two, that one of them is not built to have a 360 turn, okay? So you may want to just get to this point here and then come back. And if you want to do the 360, then you can do it, but just make sure when you're at the back that you don't force it. Do it very gently, okay? So that's that. And then for the pectorals, how can I show you this? Okay, you will go into a door frame. There are 3 sections to the pectoral muscles. There is the upper section, mid section, and the lower section. So we're going to do 3 angles. So imagine that we are on a door frame, okay? Use your imagination, yeah? And so the first one, for the mid section of the pectorals, I'm going to place my hands on a 90-degree angle on the door frame, okay? The door is open and I'm going to step forward, creating a stretch on the mid section of the pectorals. Then for the upper portion, we're going to put the hands on the corners of the door frame and we're going to step forward. And again, you hold these stretches until you feel that the muscles have eased off and given in to this stretch. Okay, and then for the lower section of the pectorals, you will put your hands like this on the door frame and then step forward. I will demonstrate it in a second because I also, before I do that, I want to address the hip flexors. What happens when you are sat on a desk for so long, so many hours a day, is that So this thing happens, yeah? You are sat in this position all day. What happens is that the hammy is shortened, and so do the hip flexors. And on the hip flexors, we have a very important muscle, which is the famous psoas. And this muscle is very, very, very relevant when it comes to low back pain, because this muscle has the insertions on the lower portion, mid and lower portion of the spine, at the front of the spine, okay? And then it comes all the way round to the front of the iliac crests of the hip, you know, this bone here, like the butterfly kind of shape. And it has the insertion at the top of the femur. So when we sit for long periods of time, this muscle gets shortened, causing a pull from the low back, causing a hyperlordosis curve and pressure, which then turns into pain, okay? So some of you may know the warrior pose in yoga. It's a very good one. So for this one, you would, let me see how I can show you this. Yeah, that's fine, okay. So the warrior pose goes like this. The knees should not go any further than the toes. Look who's here, with Charlie. Hi. Say hi, Charlie. You say hi. Hiya. So cute. Yes. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so this is what you want to do. This is the pose, and then you lift your arms above the head and stretch this area. Okay, so you can do this from the floor, like I am now, or you can do it standing up, lowering this knee down, and then lifting the arms up, making sure you stretch this area. You will feel the stretch on the groin area as well. It's all good.